Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a silent force that shapes, well, absolutely everything we do. Think about it. We make countless choices every single day, from staring blankly into the fridge in the morning to making high-stakes strategic moves at work. But there's a hidden cost to all of this. We're going to look at the science behind why our judgment slips, and more importantly, how to build clean, simple systems to protect our most valuable asset.
So, I want you to ask yourself, how are we truly guiding our choices? Because the quality of our decisions actually relies heavily on a finite resource that we almost never talk about. It's not your time, and it's not your intellect, it is your mental energy.
Every single day puts us at a crossroads, right? And that mental energy is exactly what makes it possible for us to stay present, carefully weigh our options, and respond intentionally instead of just reacting on autopilot. But as that energy dwindles throughout the day, we literally lose that capacity. We stop evaluating, and we start choosing out of sheer habit or sometimes just pure exhaustion.
Well, this phenomenon actually has a formal name, decision fatigue. It's the progressive deterioration in the quality of your decisions after a long period of making choices. Now, here's the really dangerous part. It operates completely invisibly. When you're suffering from it, you don't feel physically tired in the traditional sense, so you often misdiagnose it. You just start feeling like the decision in front of you is unusually difficult, or you catch yourself thinking, I just really don't want to think about this right now.
Renowned psychologist Roy Baumeister really hit the nail on the head here. He scientifically validated this, pointing out that good decisions simply do not come from a tired mind. It absolutely doesn't matter how intelligent or experienced you are. After a certain number of choices, the quality of your judgment declines. And the kicker? You don't even realize it's happening. No one is immune. Your brain just loses its ability to clearly evaluate options as those choices pile up.
Now, science gives us two main ways to look at this. On one hand, we have the original resource depletion model. Think of it like a tired muscle, it physically needs rest to recover. On the other hand, there's Michael Inslich's alternative model, a motivational shift. This idea suggests the brain just becomes unwilling to put in the effort and shifts its attention toward immediate rewards, meaning you need a renewed sense of purpose to bounce back. The truth? It's probably a powerful mix of both genuine physical fatigue and that motivational drop. To really put the real-world impact of a tired mind into perspective, just look at this number, 1,100. This comes from one of the most famous studies on decision fatigue, done back in 2011 by Shai Danziger. Researchers analyzed over 1,100 parole decisions made by Israeli judges, and they meticulously mapped them out over the course of the judges' working days. And the climax of that study? It is honestly terrifying. They found that the probability of a judge granting parole was super high at the start of the day and right after meal breaks. But as decisions piled up, that probability just collapsed, dropping to almost zero right before break. Why? Because when fatigue sets in, the mind automatically defaults to the easiest, lowest risk choice. In this case, that meant denying parole and keeping the status quo. It basically creates a systematic bias toward using minimum cognitive effort. But how we approach choices matters a ton too. Building on Barry Schwartz's paradox of choice, we generally see two distinct styles. First, you have the maximizer. This person examines every single possible option to find the absolute perfect choice. This consumes massive amounts of decisional energy for what are usually only marginally better outcomes. It's a huge accelerator for decision fatigue. Then you have the satisficer. They look for a choice that's simply good enough based on their criteria. They consume way less energy, decide faster, and actually report being happier with their choices overall.
So, how do we actually spot this in ourselves? There are 5 key signals to watch out for: decision procrastination, making impulsive choices, avoidance and passive delegation, fleeing to the default option, and irritability. But the absolutely crucial diagnostic pattern here is time. If you notice these behaviors systematically creeping in during the afternoon or evening after a day packed with meetings, listen, that is sheer exhaustion. It is not a character flaw.
All right, so how do we fight back? The goal isn't just to decide less, it's to reserve your precious judgment for the things that truly make a difference. You do this by eliminating trivial decisions. Think of Steve Jobs and his famous black turtlenecks, or Barack Obama wearing the exact same colored suits. At work, you can create routines and templates so you're never starting from scratch. Establish default rules, like say only checking emails at 2 specific times a day, and just automate or delegate the non-essential stuff.
To keep this going, the science of happiness offers us 4 pillars for deciding with energy. First is plus being. cultivating the self-awareness to actually notice your judgment slipping in real time. Second is plus discipline, building systems so you aren't relying on momentary willpower. Third is plus we, distributing the decisional load across your team so no single person becomes a bottleneck of exhaustion. And fourth, plus positive chemistry, respecting your biology. Things like sleep, hydration, and glucose levels directly dictate your decision quality. Recognizing which of these energy types is running low is really your first step to protecting it. Physical energy relies heavily on your sleep and hydration. Mental energy gets directly drained by constantly evaluating alternatives. Emotional energy, well, when that's depleted, it leads straight to that irritability we just talked about. And spiritual energy means that decisions connected to a clear sense of purpose actually consume way less energy overall. Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought. It is not time that is locking. It is mental energy. If there is one single thing you take away from this explainer, let it be this. Stop endlessly trying to manage your time and start fiercely protecting your mental energy. Protect it so you can reserve the absolute best of your judgment for what truly deserves it. So, what could you accomplish if you gave your biggest decisions your absolute best energy?